The wind blew, making the grass sway. It was beautiful. I joined a tour group. The guide was an Asian woman who skillfully led us through tastings of local delicacies and tours of historical sites. Among the group was a young couple. They were inseparable, clearly deeply in love. I once saw the boy practicing his proposal speech over and over again, in private, stumbling at first, but growing more confident with each attempt. It took him 3 days. Then at the Roman temple, surrounded by a shower of rose petals, Fiona, will you marry me? Despite all the practice, his voice still trembled and faltered, even worse than his first attempts. Awkward, shaky, but sincere, yes, I will. The girl, eyes brimming with tears, accepted the ring. Amid cheers and applause, she threw herself into his arms. They held each other tightly under a cascade of petals. It seemed as though they had embraced the entire world. On the way back, the boy went to pack their things, and the girl sat down next to me. She carefully touched the ring on her finger, cherishing it, and then noticed the faint mark of a ring on my own finger. She blinked and looked at me. Were you married? Yes, she was naturally chatty. And upon hearing I'd been married, her curiosity. How old were you when you got married? I just started working. Do you think I'm too young to have said yes? She was young. Her eyes were filled with dreams of the future, admiration for her fiancé, and nervousness about marriage, afraid of choosing the wrong person, of taking the wrong path. Unlike me, naive and fearless, I had chosen Leo. I believed love could overcome anything. But later, I realized that love was the source of all obstacles. Marriage brought me nothing but endless wounds and tears. My marriage was undoubtedly a failure, so I had no grounds to offer her romantic advice or inspirational speeches. I simply told her I got married at 23. Now I'm 32 and preparing for a divorce. For me, marriage isn't about age. If you like someone, be with them. If you don't, leave them. Keep it pure and simple. She listened, nodding uncertainty, and then hesitantly asked, Are you divorcing because you fell out of love? I smiled and nodded yes. We grew tired of each other. Chapter 09. On the 7th day after Miranda left, Sandra had just finished her performance, and Leo personally went to pick her up. On the way back, Sandra began scrolling through short videos on her phone. I got married at 23. Now I'm 32 and planning to get a divorce. Is it because you don't love him anymore? Yes, we got tired of each other. Leo's whole body tensed and he turned to look. He couldn't see the woman's face, but he knew that voice. It was Miranda. She said she didn't love him anymore. She said she was tired of him. It was absurd, completely ridiculous. Miranda's mother passed away early, and her father had died a few years ago. Other than him, she had no one else in this world to rely on. She couldn't leave him, even though she had brought up divorce more than once. Over the years, Leo knew the truth. Miranda was the one who couldn't bear to let go. She couldn't leave him. She cared more than anyone about having a family of her own. The divorce, the arguments, they were all just tactics to get his attention. There was no way she didn't love him anymore. Leo tried to reassure himself, but deep down an uneasy feeling spread like a shadow. Desperate for reassurance, he pulled the car over to the side of the road, ignoring Sandra's puzzled look, and took out his phone to send Miranda a message. But when he opened their chat, the last message he had sent, asking when she was coming home, still had no reply. Scrolling further up, he saw her last to handle everything through her lawyer and not to contact her. He hesitated, then he decided to ask where she was. But his message was met with a red exclamation mark. Miranda had blocked him. Leo's fingers trembled slightly. A hollow feeling suddenly gripped his chest. And, just then, he heard the girl in the video ask Miranda if he came back now, truly regretting everything and wanting to win you back. Would you forgive him now? Miranda's voice was soft but resolute. Leo clenched his phone tightly, his jaw taut. She was lying. Miranda was lying. There was no way she wouldn't forgive him. She loved him too much. He refused to believe otherwise. Chapter 10. The day I returned home, Leo came to pick me up personally. He looked sharp, tall, and striking. Holding a large bouquet of roses, he walked toward me, attracting quite a bit of attention. "Miranda, welcome back." I didn't take the flowers. His brows furrowed slightly, but then he naturally took my suitcase. "Baby, stop being difficult, okay?" He called me baby. In the past, that might have softened my heart. But now I just felt puzzled. He didn't seem to know what he truly wanted. When he opened the car door, I noticed Sandra sitting inside. I frowned slightly. Leo quickly explained. "Miranda, I know you're still upset that Sandra ruined your birthday. I brought her here to apologize to you." Sandra lowered her eyes, looking pitiful. "I'm sorry, SSS, it's all my fault. Please don't be mad at Leo, okay?" I silently watched the performance unfold. I didn't say a word. Leo reached out to hold my hand, but I avoided him. He sighed as if helpless, and tried to compromise with me. "If you don't like her, I'll end things with her. Is that okay?" At those words, Sandra turned pale, staring at Leo in disbelief. But I refused him. No need, younger women have their own charms. Leo froze. What? Before he could react, a young man suddenly knocked on the car window. When he saw me, he climbed in without hesitation, took my hand, and intertwined his fingers with mine. "Sister, how could you leave me behind?" Before I could speak, Leo's expression darkened as he stared coldly at the boy's hand holding mine. "Who is this?" The boy glanced back at Leo. Then he looked at me. "Your ex-husband." I nodded. The boy smiled brightly, radiating youthful energy that was almost blinding. "Nice to meet you, ex-husband. I'm Luis, her new boy toy." His tone was unnervingly calm. Sandra frowned in disgust. "How shameless can you be?" Luis rolled his eyes. "Excuse me, aren't you the ex-husband's mistress? And now you're acting all high and mighty. If anyone here should be ashamed, it's you. You're a homewrecker. A shameless, disgusting homewrecker." His words hit Sandra like a barrage of bullets. Her face turned pale, her eyes red, and she trembled in anger. She looked at Leo pitifully, hoping he would defend her like he always had. But Leo didn't even glance at her. "Let's go home," he said. I spoke up. "Take me to my apartment," the place where I now lived. Luis had insisted on following me back home, and since he had nowhere else to stay, he moved into my apartment. Leo gripped the steering wheel tightly. "Come home, I need to talk to you." It wasn't a request, it was an order. I frowned in displeasure, but seeing the look on Leo's face, I relented and nodded fine. Chapter 11. I returned to the villa. The layout was exactly the same as when I had left. A bit messy after all. When I left, I took everything valuable with me. Leo's first words were an interrogation. "Who is he?" I raised an eyebrow. "My lover. Didn't you say before that you couldn't accept an open marriage? And now you've found yourself a young man. Did you have fun with him these past few days?" Leo frowned tightly. He looked up at me, a faint, careless smile on his lips, but his eyes were cold. I looked back at him and smiled. "Yes, a lot. Young men have plenty of energy." My bluntness left Leo speechless. Silencing his sarcasm, I grew impatient. "Leo, is this what you wanted to talk about? If so, I won't waste my time. He's young, and he always has nightmares when he sleeps alone. I'll go keep him company." Those words should have sounded familiar to Leo. After all, he used to say the same thing to me. Leo clearly remembered it too. His face turned dark, but the next second he stepped closer, looking down at me and smiling. "Miranda, let's end things with them and start over, okay? The person I love is you." I pushed him away and looked at him with exhausted eyes. "You don't love me. You're just upset because someone you never thought would leave actually left. And it hurt your pride. You've always been a perfectionist. When you were a kid, if a cookie had a broken corner, you'd rather go hungry than eat it. Now you'd rather find one woman after another outside, while keeping me here, to preserve your perfect marriage. After all these years, I know him better than anyone. I know his coldness, his selfishness. He grew tired of me. But he won't allow anyone else to have me. That's not love. It's arrogance. You're sick, get help before it's too late. Chapter 12. Leo fled in embarrassment. But the next day he was outside my door again. He wanted to drive me to and from work. I didn't refuse. Since the divorce hadn't been finalized, we were still the respectable power couple we had always appeared to be. Leo treated me better than ever, reporting every little thing he did, message after message. I didn't read them, let alone reply. At the company, people still called me Mrs. Leo. They knew my status. And I had no interest in working a 9-to-5 job with enough money. I had no hobby of enduring hardships. I held a nominal position, only showing up at the office occasionally. I had friends at the company, so I heard about Sandra through them. This time, after seeing Leo constantly lingering near my office, one friend asked if Leo had changed his mind. I laughed, then invited her out for dinner after work. She agreed, and I texted Leo telling him not to pick me up. I'll pick you up afterward, okay? I agreed. Chapter 13. I left work with my friend in the underground parking lot. As she drove, she said, Leo must have broken up with Sandra, right? I told you he still cares about you. No matter how much he liked her, he'd never keep her if it made you angry. I smiled. Maybe. Over the past few days, Sandra had called Leo quite a few times. I had seen it, but Leo never answered. Even when I told him answer it, it might be something important. Leo looked at me with a complicated expression, frustrated and hurt. You don't care? I looked at him and shook my head. No, I don't. I had stopped caring a long time ago. Yet Leo blocked Sandra's number right in front of me, as if he really had a change of heart. During dinner, my friend asked me if he's changed. Are you still going through with the divorce? I didn't answer. I looked out the window. The sky was dark and the streets were nearly empty. A man stood under a streetlight. I couldn't see his face, but his tall figure was striking. A girl ran out of the apartment building and threw herself into his arms. The man bent down and kissed the corner of her eye. A car passed by them. The headlights lit up their faces. It was Leo and Sandra. I watched them quietly for a moment, and then took pictures of everything. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Leo. Are you done? I'll come pick you up. No need, I'm not coming home tonight. He replied instantly. Okay. I looked down. Leo was holding Sandra's hand, leading her into the apartment. Both of them were smiling. Chapter 14. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by the ringing of my phone. It was Sandra. She sent me a photo. Leo was sleeping soundly, his head resting on her chest. Her chest was covered in scattered kiss marks. Sensual, sticky. Gone was the cold elegance she once had. Your husband is amazing, sis. He's long lost interest in you. Why do you keep clinging to him? At least keep some dignity for yourself. I saved the photo, thought for a moment, and transferred her 50 cents memo payment. Sandra lost it, bombarding me with messages. I didn't read a single one. Instead, I forwarded the photo to my lawyer. Evidence of infidelity, get me as much as you can. The lawyer replied instantly, don't worry. Chapter 15. The next morning when I went downstairs, Leo was already waiting at the door. Good morning, Miranda. He looked refreshed, satisfaction lingering between his brows. After a night of indulgence, he had brought me pan-fried buns and soy milk, my old favorites. I picked at one or two absent-mindedly, answering his questions half-heartedly. My indifference was obvious. Since rising to power, no one had treated him with such blatant disregard. His expression darkened. Miranda, do you really have to treat me like this? He stopped the car and looked at me, and to my surprise, there was a hint of grievance in his eyes, as if I had wronged him. But faced with my calm, indifferent gaze, he couldn't say anything, then just sign the divorce papers. If you can't stand it, let it go. The words hung in the air. Leo's face turned cold. Not a chance. His tone was firm. I sighed, leaning back against the seat. Part resignation, part exasperation. Leo, why are you so pathetic? When I loved you, you hurt me. When I stopped loving you, you clung to me. Pathetic, you're exhausted. Chapter 16. Leo continued to refuse to sign the divorce papers. So we remained married. But Leo was clingy, too clingy. I knew he was trying to keep me away from Luis. Yet when Luis couldn't find me, he would wait for me outside the office, clinging to my arm and pouting, asking if I didn't care about him anymore. I smiled and coaxed him. Of course I care. Under the watchful eyes of others, I sent him away. But when I turned around, I saw Leo standing at the entrance, watching me from a distance. I didn't know how much he had seen, but he said nothing, turning and leaving the company alone, as if he was sulking. But I didn't care. It rained today. The weather turned cold and I went home alone. As soon as I arrived, Leo took my hand and led me to the dining room. Didn't you say you wanted lamb soup? From the south of the city. I bought it for you. His hand was ice cold. I glanced at him and noticed he was soaked through, his face pale from the cold. Yet, his eyes were filled with hope and eagerness to please. I took one sip and put the spoon down. It smells gamey. You drink it. I turned to leave, but Leo grabbed my wrist. I went out of my way to get this for you. Because you said you liked it. It took me 2 hours to find the stall. It started raining and the stall had no cover. So I waited in the rain. But you only took one sip. And you didn't even care enough to ask if I was okay. Miranda, what's wrong with you? His fingers trembled, and his eyes were full of confusion. You weren't like this before. So what? I looked him straight in the eyes, my gaze calm and unwavering. I stopped liking you a long time ago. To me, you're a stranger now. Do you expect me to fuss over a stranger? You go out of your way for me and expect gratitude. How is that not ridiculous? It was as if my words shattered something in him. You can't not love me. I already looked into it. Luis is just your friend. You two have nothing going on. You're just using him to make me jealous. Deep down you still care about me, Miranda. Baby, you love me, don't you? He looked down at me, his gaze careful and hopeful. But I noticed his death grip on his hands, his knuckles turning white, as if my answer would be the final straw that determined his fate. I smiled and cut him off completely. For now we're just friends. But life is long. Eventually I'll find someone to spend it with. I'm afraid of loneliness. After my father died, more than anyone I wanted a home of my own. So I never planned to spend my life alone. A man, a woman, a partner, any of those would do. Leo's eyes turned red and he asked, why can't it be me? It can. I didn't hesitate, ignoring the way Leo's face instantly went pale. I smiled, turned around and walked away. I never looked back. Chapter 17. Sandra came looking for me. She brought a pregnancy test report. Compared to the cold, fairy-like appearance she had when we first met, she now carried an air of sultry sophistication, evidence of a woman deeply indulged in passion. It made her even more alluring. No wonder Leo couldn't let her go. Who would be willing to give up such a delicate flower? Sandra told me she was pregnant. She said the reason Leo had been treating me so well lately was because he wanted me to accept the child. After all, I couldn't have children. Hearing this, I raised my eyes to look at her. Leo told you I can't have children. What else? Sandra smirked, her tone dripping with provocation. But Miranda,